I only need 2.
Hey, that's all I need as well. That's all anybody needs, really. 8 strings too much. It's good fun.
I really want to bring back the unitar. Just one string on it.
What was that Paul Gilbert thing that he did? That he had a double neck, but he only had 3 strings on it, and it was tuned just a certain way that he could do a really
3 E's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how he was doing "Get Out of My Yard."
Right. That's what it's from.
With a capo, right? You had someone moving the finger along, so the open strings would be different each time.
When that first came out, I didn't know that that's what was happening. So I was figuring it out with this double hand thing going, fuck this guy. So Gilbert was obviously an influence on you and your playing, and I assume he probably still is. He's just so prolific, and he's what?
He's Paul.
What do you mean he's bald?
He's Paul.
Oh, he's Paul. I thought you said he's Paul. Wait a minute, I just started drinking. I don't know what's going on with me. What the hell? Hold on. I'm going to switch back to whiskey. Yeah.
I thought Tony said he was tall, which is true as well. He's very tall.
Oh yeah. His wrist bones are just like the size of my hand. And that's why a lot of people don't really understand that. I'm like 5 foot nothing, and this part of my wrist is so small. If you're 6 foot tall and your wrist bones are that much larger, your technique, it just seems to me that taller people have a little bit easier time being fluid with their right hand.
Unless you're Vinnie Moore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, Vinny lives right down the street from me. Vinny is he's not a tall. I'm 6'2", so I run into Vinny Moore at the Home Depot all the time, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, Vinny, I just stepped on you. Sorry, no, but he's built like a tank. So like his playing, he's got that really kind of strong. He's got that kind of a point A to point B with his picking, which is kind of nice. And then there's another gentleman here who is going to be on the show too, who was very good friends with Vinny. He was signed to Shrapnel and then later to Warner Brothers back in the 90s. His name is Mark Hafer. And he was the closest to a Sean Lane I had ever known. Just didn't make any sense what he was doing. Like physically, I'm like, what is this? So when you're with the Gilbert, so you were talking about earlier, you had gotten into this, now, when did you kind of get into the Rusty Cooley thing? Because Rusty really kind of burned up the internet pretty early on. Like he really kind of got it. Like, it was like late 90s. All of a sudden, there's this guy on the scene that was really using the internet to his advantage. Mm-hmm. Was that around the time that you started listening to him?
So I have two. So I played since I was 6, but I consider when I was 17, 18 learning. That was my time. I think that was probably about 2004, maybe. So a little bit later than because I know Rusty was about before then, but this is before YouTube. And there was Google Video. And me and my friends at college, we'd go into the IT computer rooms in between lectures because we were all studying music, and we'd all just watch our favorite players. There was a video of Rusty doing his extreme pentatonics, and I think there was like a bet you can't play this thing.
Yeah.
And there's a video of Michelangelo Batio doing speed kills or something. And there's only a few videos, and there was a guy doing what was it? That Prelude and C, the Jerry C thing. There was like the free guitar videos that were on Google Video. I remember that.
Oh, okay.
And then through that, I went down there's a website called Shred Academy.
Yeah.
I think. And there's a load of players giving cool lessons, and there's nowhere. And then there's Chops from Hell.
Chops from Hell.
There's nowhere else to get any of it. I mean, I had all the Intense Rock and stuff, and I still think those courses actually have way more weight to them now than I probably appreciated for them before. But the Chops from Hell stuff was like, here's the keys, here's all the mental crazy licks, and Rusty Cooley and then Derek Taylor were on there, and that was a big revelation for me.
Yeah, Derek was and still is, quite an interesting character. Like his videos that he would do, it almost looked like he was on a set of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he was on a break. And he's like, all right, man, I'm going, here's this lick, kind of goes like this, and just like that. Yeah. you know? But it was really grainy, and it was almost like it was very carefree the way he would, but then you would look at the transcriptions, or you'd be like, wow, there's like some serious, like, I loved his pentatonic approach. I got real into that for a long time. The 3-note per string, pentatonics, that scale the board, breaking out of the 5 box positions, if you will. So I got really into that and I still do. I found that to be really, to me, like, oh, this is next level. Like, this is cool, because I didn't see a lot of that on maybe some of the Gilbert REH stuff. He might have touched on that, but you said something really interesting, that the weight of those earlier REH and maybe even the Hot Lick stuff, when you say they carry more weight now, is that because you've come back to it with this new educated mind and experience as a player?
Well, I think a big, so it's difficult. When I say this, there's no harsh feelings or any regrets. I think every time we spend time on something, it builds up who we are. We are a culmination of all of our influences and stuff, and it's helpful. And I've got, I mean, now I wouldn't necessarily be able to jump into that stuff right now, but there was a time when that was just like, right, let's do it. Only pentatonic 3-note per string skipping, nothing else. I'd go to jam local open mics, and then there'd be a blues session, and I couldn't play any of that stuff.
Okay.
At the time, obviously the Mask of Judas, I wrote all the music to be like that and perform that live and toured that. But when it came to improvising of that stuff, at the time, it was just like kind of impossible. So I was putting all my energy into a particular thing,
right,
but my timing and vibrato and my tone and phrasing and ideas were very limited to just that. Now, when I went back after joining, I do a lot of session work, going around playing in cover bands and things like that as well, and I get to do my thing as well. And I was like, how can I still do my thing? And then I'll go back to all these classic players, and it's like, these simpler, what seem like simpler. I'm not saying it's simple, but I'm saying these more standardized things are way more powerful when done correctly. Just listening to that intro of Intense Rock 1 of Paul Gilbert on the pink guitar, and it's just, or Vinnie Moore, that Speed Accuracy video, and his picking is just like a machine gun. And it's so tight, and it's solid playing. And these guys go out and play live regularly with loud amplifiers, with drummers, with songs. And to me, that's no discredit to some of the Chops from Hell stuff, because I know that Rusty went out with a band, and I know that Derek Taylor is a prolific musician, producer, and he's got they did clinic tours and things like that. But for me personally, educationally, I think it took me down a bit of a rabbit hole where I might have been able to focus on other things, like just learning some riffs and playing and I'm kind of I see my career as like I'm going backwards now. I get to with Lick Library, I get to learn all these albums and teach them. So learning like Ride the Lightning and Pantera, Cowboys from Hell, and Porno Graffiti, and Even Smile, and all those kind of classic quintessential rock guitar albums. I'm kind of rediscovering something I probably should have done when I was a bit younger, before coming to that stuff. I went off on a tangent. I know that's not quite.
No. I mean, it's interesting. I'm interested by this because at one point, what you were saying, it kind of made me think that some of those videos, it might have been nice as like a disclaimer, like this is supplementary, like this is a supplementary thing.